Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to have our new career spotlight for this month with Dewayne McClary. I've known him forever. It seems like I've known him forever. And he has a fascinating career journey. And he's currently a director at Digital Promise. And I'm going to ask him to share with us what his current job entails and a little bit about his educational background.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaisha. It's so funny. Like I've known you all my life. And I'm 39. So you know what that's it.
I'm 40.
My name is Dewayne McClary. I am the Senior Director of Networks and Partnerships at Digital Promise. Digital Promise is a 10-year-old organization. It was an act of Congress by then George W. Bush, but was later brought into full fruition and kicked off at the White House under then President Obama. I serve as the Senior Director of Networks, which oversees the League of Innovative Schools, which has been around for 10 years, which is the flagship of Digital Promise. And it's the most forward-thinking school superintendents in the US. There are 125 school superintendents in this organization in 34 states, representing a little over 3.8 million students. So I have the great opportunity to lead those great folks through innovative models and practices in helping us identify and change the way that students, especially those that look like me and you, are engaging in educational opportunities, and how do we better set them out on the right path and change trajectories for them. So that's one of the initiatives that I cover, which takes up a lot of my time. And then the second one is EdCamps. We acquired EdCamps back in 2019. EdCamps is a unconference model for teachers, where teachers are able to develop their own professional development paths. And it was about 50,000 teachers that are part of that. And it's actually worldwide organization. Their EdCamps are happening around the world. The next one is something that we're kicking off March. So we actually have a league convening happening next week. So I'll be traveling to Cincinnati, Ohio next week, bringing all of our league districts together. We're kicking off the League of Innovative Students. So we're bringing the most innovative students together to help us at Digital Promise to identify ways to better make education better for them. This actually kicked off from an actual program we put on last year called C Summit, the Students for Equitable Education. These students came together and talked about what they would like to see their education look like equitably. It was a group of about 50 plus students from across the US, from about 9 different school districts. And it was a very diverse group: white kids, Black kids, Asian kids, Arab kids, all talking about what they would like to see their education look like. And so that kind of kicked off and sparked to what we're now developing, a national organization called League of Innovative Students, where they will now have a voice and choice into actually telling us what they want their education to look like. Because, you know, all the time it's adults developing and creating stuff for kids, but yet they're the end users and no one has ever asked them, well, what would you like? So we're leading by example. So all of our research, we're a huge research firm at Digital Promise, will have kids influence. All of the frameworks will have kids influence, even the work that we do with corporate partners. So I also manage all of the corporate partners for Digital Promise. So when they have product, they want product feedback, we're having kids to actually help them with giving feedback to help them understand, like, what do kids need moving forward.
That's awesome.
So that's just a little bit about what I do.
That's wonderful. And it's very innovative.
Yes, very innovative.
Forward thinking.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about your career path. I know you're here today. Mm-hmm. What were some other key roles that you had in your career?
So my career path is not one that, is an average career path, because I did not, set out to be an educator or involved in any of this. I went to Francis Marion University, and I majored in political science, in history. My goal was to be a lawyer. And so I was actually took the LSATs and everything, was going to go to law school. I graduated in July of 2000. I was going to say 2022 of 2006 from
Yeah.
Francis Marion University. And so from that time up until January, when I was going to apply and go to law school, my mom was like, "You're not going to sit at home and do nothing for these next 6 months." And our parents don't play
That's
that.
right. That's right.
And so she told me, "You need to go find a job." So I knew that at that moment. She said, "They need teachers. You're certified. You're a political science major. You can get a alternative route certification to be a teacher." So I said, "Okay." So I went up to Williamsburg County, my hometown, same district I went to, same district you went to,
That's right. That's right.
and I went and applied at Kingstree Junior High School as the social studies teacher. Started that year. And I taught 8th grade social studies, which is South Carolina history. At that time, the school they had a single gender initiative where the grades were separated by gender during their core area classes. So the math, science, social studies, and ELA classes were separated by gender. And the rest of the classes were co-ed opportunities, and lunch was co-ed. So I taught all 8th grade boys. And so, you know, school started in August. I went and I started teaching. And when it was time, as a long-term substitute, and when it was time for, December rolled around, January, when I was supposed to have gone to law school, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done, to be able to work with Black and brown boys that look like me. And I became a sort of a mentor to a lot of them. And just seeing, giving them an opportunity to understand that no matter your zip code or your race or where you're from, you are still capable of learning and being something great. And so in some of them, I was the first Black male teacher they ever had.
Wow.
So it was interesting. So went from there. That following year, I became the single gender liaison for the school. So I kind of oversaw all the single gender programs. We got national and state recognition because of the program. Then the single gender program went away. So I was asked to be the administrative assistant. So I oversaw some discipline with kids. Became athletic director. So I stayed in Williamsburg County for about 5 years. And an opportunity came. I actually came up to a 21st Century conference in Washington, D.C. at the National Harbor, and met an individual. Her name was Pat Teskey. She was instructional technology coordinator director at Arlington Public Schools. And she asked me that day after I finished my presentation, "I have a job for you." And I was like, what do you mean? Like, so my wife went with me, and I went back to the room and told her, this lady came up to me and was like, I have a job for you, and I can set up an interview tomorrow. And my wife was like, okay. So I did it. I left the conference, went and interviewed that next day. So I came home that weekend after the conference, and I was actually teaching summer school, 21st Century summer school. And I got the call Monday morning saying, "You're hired, you got the job. Can you move up here next week?" So I had to pack up my family, had 2 kids at that time, put everything in storage, and move my family up north on faith, because I knew no one up here. The only person we knew was my wife's sister, who lived in Maryland, Clinton, Maryland, and I knew no one else. Wow. So we started over, and been in Arlington Public Schools, ran up the chain ever since. I'll say this: ever since I moved up north, I've been promoted every year I've been up here.
That's awesome.
So 3 years in Arlington Public Schools, then went to DC Public Schools, started as a manager of EdTech, ended up as director of EdTech library programs, and helped develop the one-to-one initiatives for the whole city. And then was tapped by Digital Promise, and now, running this nationally led organization, which, by the way, is about to go global. That was started by President Obama, and for me, that's the best thing since sliced bread for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I loved hearing your story and the different jobs that you had, and I'm hearing that all of them really, they built.
Yes.
Your capability, your exposure, moving from one area to the other, and being willing to take the chance, the leap of faith.
Yeah.
What do you feel helped you be most successful as you continue to transition throughout your career?
The thing that was most successful for me was actually collaborating and learning from others. And actually having people take me under their wing and say, you know what, you're a young guy, I see something in you. We're going to make this happen. We're going to make you, we're going to do whatever we can to keep you here or do whatever. When I got to Arlington Public Schools, my first year, second year, I was tapped as an assistant principal immediately, and then got moved to one of the biggest schools in the district, Washington Lee High School, to lead their technology focus with about 3,000 students, and then was tapped later that following year to be the lead instructional technology coordinator over all middle and high school technology coordinator. So I came in as a young kid, knowing nothing, to leading these folks that were mentoring and helping me. So for me, just the most beneficial thing was just like having someone that I could reach out to and talk to, and learning the ropes of politics in education. There's one guy, I'm gonna shout him out, Mike Goodman. He's still an instructional technology coordinator at Kenmore Middle School, and he's also my frat brother. And he taught me to just sit back. Whenever you walk in the room, you don't open your mouth. You sit back and you watch. You watch the dynamics of people, and that will tell you who's who. And then, also you figure out who's the kingmaker in the room, because they're going to be going around meeting everybody, greeting everybody. Everyone's going to be flocking to them, and that's the person you need to get close to, but you don't get close to them publicly. So he taught me some things, like he said, don't play checkers, play chess. And so
excellent.
that has been something that, I'm very observant now. Like my wife, she gets upset because even now when we go somewhere, I'm always scoping out where's the exit, where's this, because he's always taught me just to observe the room, know where your environment, know where you are, but also be mindful of people and their interactions. And that will help you determine how you interact with those individuals.
Excellent. Excellent points. I love what you said. Observe the room.
Observe the room.
And you know how to interact with different people.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to talking with you again later in the year. But I want to also ask you, is there any other item that you wanted to share with us about your career? Mm-hmm. And I know we're still experiencing COVID. So have you had any key learnings or changes in your career since COVID?
So funny thing is, my last day at DCPS was the day that they were shutting down for COVID. Was not planned, it just happened that Friday. And so I left there and came to another organization, Digital Promise. So, and we are like one block over from the White House. That's where our office is. And so I went to the office the next day and was like, we were thinking this COVID thing was going to last for 2 weeks.
I remember that.
It's going to go away. We'll be back at work.
That's right.
Not knowing that we were out forever.
Yeah.
So we shifted immediately. So we were one of the early organizations that closed because we have an office in California also. So one of our employees came from California where COVID was running rampant to visit our office for a meeting, and they started having symptoms. And so they sent us home before everything kind of shut down 2 weeks before. And so, I'm home, we're trying to figure out the Zoom thing and, working remotely. What I immediately noticed is that even working remotely, I thought it was going to be fun. I can just roll out the bed, roll on Zoom and then roll back in bed. I'm actually working harder than I have ever before because I had to be cognizant of my time because I was doing back-to-backs because I felt like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I can just do back-to-back meetings, forgetting to schedule for lunch, forgetting just to breathe. And so even now I'm still struggling. Like I look at my calendar, I'm booked from, 9 in the morning all the way to 5 in the afternoon, solid. And so, having to figure out that work-life balance because I'm not really at work, I'm at home. So breaking up, like I'm no longer, me and my wife made this commitment. We're no longer doing any work in the bedroom, like no notebooks. And she's an educator. She's an instructional coach. So she's leading a middle school. like no papers in the bedroom or anywhere in the living room. You have to go to the desk because you got to separate the two, because if not, they'll run together and you're stressed out and you realize you've worked 24 hours.
That's right. That's right. That's right. No, that's great. Now, I'm excited. Like you said earlier, we've known each other forever.
Yes.
And I'm just very pleased that you've shared your journey with us. There's so many things that I'm hearing that I heard in your journey: the willingness to change, take
Yes.
risk,
Yes.
continuing to learn, having a mentor, and really being a mentor to others as well.
Yes.
So we want to thank you here at Growing Perspectives for sharing your insight on your career path. We love to hear more about what you're doing in Digital Promise as you're continuing to evolve. So we look forward to talking with you again later in the year.
Great. Happy to be here to do it.
Okay.